Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Rebuild It. This week we're going to continue on with the Duramax and see if we can get the whole front finished. All the body panels on, hood, grill, bumper, all that stuff, because I want to be able to see that thing, what it looks like at the end of this video. So cross your fingers. Alright guys, I'm sorry, I must confess I did not get my camera set up to get this fender put on. What happened was I started working with it, trying to get it lined up, and it would not go in straight. So I got to looking in here, I don't know if you can see it or not, but right in there, there's these bolts go into the battery tray right there. And they were hitting way off of those slots. And so I got to looking again back where this battery tray is connected to the firewall, and it looked like that bracket had been tweaked in. So I took it back out to the frame pulling tree and hooked the clamp from the front of this box and pulled it forward and got that straight on the back, and then put the fender on, and it just snapped right in there. So now we have a straight fender, everything's lined up. The gap even looks really good. I don't know if I mentioned it before or not, but you know, Mike painted all the fender and the hood and everything without having the truck there. So when I'm finished getting everything back together, I'm going to bring the truck to him, and he's going to blend into these doors. So that's why it looks off a little bit. I need to look at disassembling this bumper, the old bumper, and getting all the bracing and all that back out from underneath it, and hooking it into the new bumper and setting it on there and seeing if all of our holes are going to line up. We got brackets that stick out there. We've got these holes here, and then there's some other little small brackets that go into there, and we'll see if everything lines up correctly. Actually, before I jump onto the bumper, I want to go ahead and get this hood brought into the shop and remove. I don't know what all is in there. This is a functional hood scoop, you know, where air flows through there. It's kind of a hollow cavity, and then it comes out right there, which goes into the air filter. So I want to get all the stuff out from underneath the back side of this hood in case something's tore up. That way I can get it on order. But hopefully it'll all just straighten out. It's just bent over a little bit. Okay, so here is what is inside the hood. That's quite the deal there. A whole bunch of 10mm bolts, and it doesn't look like it's broke or cracked or anything, surprisingly, after the wreck. So I think I can just unbolt and stick it in the new. So that was easy. So now I'll just leave that sitting there until I get some help to help me lift it on the truck. But had nothing damaged under there. Everything went back together smoothly, and that's our new grill there. Okay, so I've got the old bumper laying out here, smashed one, and I gotta figure out what all I need to do to transfer everything from it to this new one. Ooh. I've got a new lower valance here. I'm hoping those two little pieces there are still good, and I hope everything else on the back side of it's good. That thing is super heavy, so there's some heavy duty steel back there. I hope it's not bent, but we'll see as we start tearing it apart. Alright, so I did have to do some beating around on this thing. Got it in the vise, and this was bent up and this was bent down, and anyway I got them back in where I think they'll work and line up and everything. But then I got to noticing, look at this corner here of the bumper. Look at that one. Looks as though someone has rounded that off. Let's see, or cut it off or something. Nice job. It's the same on both sides, which means I'm sure the tires were rubbing. So we'll have to, when we get this other one put on, I really do not want to cut the bumper up. And it looks like they even cut the lower valance. They might have shaved it too. I really don't want to do that. I just have to decide if the look of the wheels and tires on there versus stock ones is worth doing any of that kind of stuff. So let me know what you guys think. Right, so there we have it. We got the bumper all reassembled, new and assembled, I mean. So it's time to get that thing mounted on the truck, and man, I dread if those tires are rubbing that. I think I noticed once before, I think there's spacers behind those tires. So it could have been one of those things where it was rubbing before they decided to put the spacers on, and now it won't rub, but I'd say that's highly unlikely. So we'll get this thing mounted. It weighs like 200 pounds, it feels like. So I'll have to use both arms, but I'll put that on the truck. I think it's only like 4 bolts that holds it on there. And we'll see what the tires do. All right, sorry I didn't film that, but while I had somebody help here, I went ahead and had somebody bring me help me to bring this hood out and get it bolted on. I think we got to do a little adjusting, but not much. It's really pretty close, I think. Let's see what it does here. So we've got a pretty good gap on that side. I mean, acceptable gap, I think. This side, we got a little bit too wide up here at the front. So I'm not sure if I can get that fender. These things adjust different than the cars I'm used to working with. So I'm not sure if I can get that fender adjusted over, because everything's like got like these studs come in this hole here and keep it from moving. So I'm not sure what I have to do here, but I'll have to play around with it. But for now, I can do that after we get the bumper on. Let's go ahead and continue on trying to get the bumper mounted. Okay, so I've got that loosely mounted, just kind of on the top bolts. It needs to still, the bottom needs to go in probably another 1/4 of an inch to line up to the holes. But you can see here how close these tires are, so I'm sure it's gonna hit. But let's go ahead and start it and turn the tires and see what happens. All right, so I've got the truck running. I'm gonna turn the wheel all the way to the right. Oh, it went through there, but turn it back a little bit and see how close it actually comes, because you know when you're driving and you hit a bump or whatever, it can rub even if it doesn't touch. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe that was done before they spaced them out. Like I said, it's have to come in probably Yeah, close to half it. Close to half it. That hole right there is gonna line up. But it's still, it was a couple inches away. We'll just have to drive it and see. But I did realize that I need to put that grill on before the bumper comes on, so I didn't go ahead and try to get it all the way on there. So I'll take those 2 bolts back out and get it back off, and then we'll try to get our adjustments done to the hood and make sure that all lines up, and we'll put our grill on. Okay, I realized after I did all the adjusting and put the grill on that the headlights have to go in first. There's no way, once the grill is on, it comes out to about here, and there's no way to get both of your tabs in on your headlights once that's on. So I popped it back off. Now I'll go ahead and get the headlights installed, then we can put the grill back on. Then we can start wrestling with the bumper. Alright, so there we go. Man, everything lined up really nice in front. So now if I can just get this bumper back on there, that is a tight fit. Remember, we had some stuff we had to do to this one over here to get everything lined back up, and we were hoping we get it right. I know the top ones will go in there because we had it in there earlier, but trying to get those bottom ones in, we might have to do some kind of a pull or push or something, some way to get it to twist around to get it where I can get those bottom bolts lined up. But really happy with the top, looks great. Alright, so I have got the bumper all bolted up, tightened up, and it is there to stay. I've got the braces up under both corners. So now I just need to put this little cover on here. Covers up all this stuff. Check that out.
Like a glove.
Holes all line up. So snap that thing on there. We need to pop off our antifreeze as we next few weeks as we start this thing on and off. We need to check that because that'll keep going down as we get the air worked out of it. Well, I'm trying to save these badges on the hood, the ones that say Duramax with the little Allison transmission thing on there. So what I do is I put a little piece of Gorilla tape across the top, then I use my fishing line and fish it down underneath there to break the tape off. And once you get them off, that's what your tape looks like, stuck underneath there. And then you got all your spacing correct. The next time when you retape it, you just slap that on there and then pull your Gorilla tape off, and everything's in the same spot. Works pretty good. All right, so I took the truck and drove it up the driveway and around a little bit and made turns, and it is almost undrivable the way it is now. These tires rub really, really bad right there. I mean, you can just barely even turn them before they start hitting. So I'm gonna have to do something different. I'm gonna have to take this back apart, get that front bumper back off, and there's 2 choices to fix this. One is to cut this bumper like a sliver here. I've seen them do it like that, which is my last option. I don't want it like that. Another is to move the whole bumper forward about 3/4 of an inch. So I think I'm going to try that first and see if I've got total movement with the tires, because I think that will look better than having it cut. So let's get this back apart and I'll space it out and we'll see what it looks like. All right, so I've got all that back off, and the way we're gonna space this out, so go ahead and take these plates right here off and put a 3/4 inch spacer between these two. So I'll have to go run to the store and get some longer bolts and spread this out, and then we'll put it back on and see what we've got. All right, so I've got this thing on there, and it's 3/4 inches out. You can see spacers back behind there. And then here's what it looks like on the sides. It doesn't really even look like it's hardly back at all, but we'll go take it for a drive and see if it still rubs. Hopefully it doesn't. All right, so I just took it on a little drive, and I did not hear or feel any rubbing. So hard to believe that little 3/4 inch stops it. I mean, it's close. It's probably an inch away, or less than that, I guess, if I only moved it ahead 3/4. But anyway, I didn't rub that time. I drove it all around. So let's put it back together and move on to the rear. We got a tail light to put in and a few little things to do on the back before we get it to Mike. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Rebuild It. This thing is definitely a beast. Look how big it is compared to me. And I'm really anxious to get it to Mike so he can blend those doors in. And this thing is like 95% done. There's just a few little things to do to it. So I would guess the next episode will probably be the finale on this. I'm not sure, but thanks for watching. We ask that you guys give us a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. And make sure you're a subscriber down below. So we'll see you next week.
And always remember, don't retire it if you can rebuild it. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in and watching this week's episode of Rebuild It. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any awesome content. Have a good one.